A young boy sets out on a quest to find 13 treasures to restore his once proud kingdom to its former glory. Mix that noble concept in with some pirates, and you have the plot to the Pirates of Darkwater, an underrated and unfinished 21 episode cartoon. Okay, so this isn't the cartoon that got you to wake up early every morning to watch it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was bad. I have fond / hazy memories about this particular show, but we all know how this works. Whenever a cartoon gets ported over to the video games, it's always hit or miss. It's either going to be really good or really bad. Did the Pirates of Darkwater get the King Arthur and the Knights of Justice treatment? Only one way to find out. Stick around. So, as you've probably deduced, today's review has to do with the Pirates of Darkwater. 2 games were produced for this show, one on the Super Nintendo and one on the Sega Genesis. Both games are completely different from one another, so you guys get 2 reviews in one. Let's check them out. The SNES version begins with a synopsis of the game. At the start, you're able to choose which of the 3 main characters you want to use to begin the game. Let's go with Ren since he's the protagonist. You're given a map of Myr and silhouettes of the compass and treasures you're supposed to find. And, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Only 7 treasures? In the series there were 13 that Ren was supposed to collect. Didn't these guys even watch the show? So you start out in Dragon's Maw and it's a side scroll and beat 'em up. There are 5 buttons you use: attack, sword attack, jump, and a spinning kick that looks all too familiar. There's also a block button, which is quite unique for games like this, but I found it to be impractical. While you can defend against close attacks, you can't block against charging attacks or objects. And the enemies in this game don't even put up much of a fight, so again, impractical. You also have lunge attacks, which can be extremely useful to get around areas and keep the bad guys off you. I keep moving forward and... Noichi Dat! Look at the size of that guy! And some of the names of the enemies are kind of funny. Sickle Man, Tattoo Man, and D Rider? I hesitate to ask what the D stands for. Making it to the end of the first level, I'm surprised to see Bloth so early, but games do that sometimes. Try to just attack Bloth because once he's dead, the other enemies die as well. Stage 2 has a lot of obstacles. The nice thing is that they can come in handy. Enemies are as hurt by the fire as you are. While I'm dealing with enemies on the left over here, this ninny on the right is killing himself by repeatedly running into the fire. Second level boss is Conk and he's pretty easy to beat. The game starts to pick up difficulty around stage 4. This is where the game no longer feels like a humdrum button masher but rather a strategic beat 'em up. On many occasions you're going to find yourself swamped with enemies around you. Stage 5 introduces these little critters that are difficult to hit because of their size. They can get problematic when there are tons of enemies on the screen, so watch out. The boss for this level is Corruptus, one of Dark Dweller's underlings. Once you get his pattern down, he should be a breeze. When you fight Ferrix in stage 7, you're in the air being flown by Niddler. This is a really fun boss fight. Finally, at the last level, you're in the Maelstrom, Bloth's ship. The constrictors that Bloth has under his ship pop out from time to time and they attack you and your enemies. This battle is pretty long and intense. I don't know how, but I managed to get past this first part with only 1 second to spare. In the final area, after beating up a couple of Bloth's henchmen, you fight Bloth himself. Once you beat him, you get a weird ending. It turns out that all 7 treasures were lost, and Bloth claims that this encounter with Ren was pretty useless. Did I get a bad ending or something? Overall, the game's pretty good. I'm actually surprised. I expected it to be complete garbage. But we still have the Sega Genesis one to review. Let's go for that one next. Oh, wow. This game. Hey, do we have a potential candidate for a hidden gem on the Sega Genesis here?
Gotta say, I'm really impressed. This game is very well done. The characters, the story, they've captured the essence of the cartoon here. The story in the beginning is so detailed and so well presented that even if you knew nothing about the cartoon series, you'd get the gist of it from the intro alone. So, much like the SNES version, you're given a map of Myr where you advance forward after every completed stage. You choose which character you want to use, and they all have slightly different characteristics. Tula is the fastest, Ayaz is the strongest, and Ren is the most balanced. The issue here is that aside from mobility, there isn't too much of a difference between the characters. They each swing a sword, they each have a projectile, with Ren and Ayaz using daggers and Tula using her Echomancer powers. I've found it best to use Tula in this game. You die if you fall off a great distance. You have an item screen where you can replenish your health as well as use vials with different properties. The same blunder that was committed in the SNES version is committed here because again, you have to search for the 7 treasures of Rule when the cartoon had 13.
Now, I'm assuming that the only reason why these games went for the 7 treasures instead of 13, it might have something to do with the fact that in the series, Ren only ever found 8 of the 13 treasures of Rule because the cartoon was canceled prematurely. So I'm assuming that that's the reason.
In stage 2, I kept having this problem where I would get hit by bats that I couldn't see. The bats blend into the night too much. Can't even see them sometimes. Hey look, I found a secret area, alright! This stage looks like something out of Castlevania with all the horror-based enemies. Jonda Town has some annoying enemies. It's so hard to kill them with them jumping around like grasshoppers. Here, you're under the Maelstrom, and Darkwater actually makes an appearance. If you step foot inside of it, you're dead. When you make it to the high area of Maelstrom, you have to cross through this area. What? I fell? That part doesn't even look like a hole. My biggest and only critique of this game is that the bosses are just too easy. Look, Conk isn't even trying to hit me. Even Bloth is pretty easy. Anyway, at the final level of the game, you fight the Dark Dweller, the entity responsible for Darkwater. By this point, we've collected all 7 treasures of Rule, and there are holes where the treasures go. You have to put them in a specific order for them to go in. Once you got them all in, you get the cutscene and the main characters using the compass as a beam to kill the Dark Dweller. Hey, we actually got a proper ending.
And there you have the Pirates of Darkwater. Hard to believe that the same guy who created American Tail and produced the Chucky movies was also responsible for this particular series. And Chongo Longo, I wasn't even expecting the games to be this good. I'm impressed. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.